That's right. I'm purposely going to wait.
I hear you.
Can you hear me? Because
I
before,
hear you.
nobody could effing hear me, even though all my settings were not changed and everything was perfect on my end. Can you tell I'm pissed off? Can you tell I'm pissed off? Whenever, and it's nobody's fault, but whenever my routine is that I come on here earlier in the morning and I kind of set up everything, make sure we're all looking good. And one of the lovely people that love wrestling, if I had to guess, I would say it was either Zach or Spencer, but one of the lovely people that love wrestling made all the rooms this week. They made all the rooms in advance, which sweetheart of a move. But then all of a sudden my audio doesn't work, so I automatically blame everybody else. I go, hey, appreciate you being proactive, but let me run the shit, because when I run the shit, this doesn't happen. So that's I just automatically blame the world for something. I'm like, well, it's not on my end. My stuff's perfect. So now I'm frustrated. And
So
the show's going to get
had
up to a swimmingly start. Yes, a
You
half
had
hour
issues.
late. A half hour late because
I know.
Yeah.
I had issues as well because overnight I found out. Well, I didn't find out overnight. I found out 30 minutes before I turned my computer on at
you didn't have enough
9:30.
time to go get a new cable. You lazy person. What's important to you, Drew? The show, or
No, it was only. I mean, listen. If I had known
Unbelievable.
when I woke up, but I don't come on my computer, immediately when I wake up. I mean, nobody really should do that. You got to wake up and smell the roses.
What do you mean? People don't wake up and people in this world don't wake up and immediately have a screen in their face before they do anything else?
Listen,
that's not commonplace nowadays.
Truth be told, I go to my phone immediately.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But my phone,
but it's like, don't we all?
My phone works fine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm on my phone, blah blah blah. I go and make breakfast, blah, blah, whatever. Then it's 9:30. It's like, okay, let me get my computer up and going. I hit my button. I don't have internet. It's like, oh, okay, that's weird. But my Wi-Fi is working. I was like, okay, I guess everything's maybe, there's some glitches. There's glitches that happen.
Yeah.
We all know that.
Yeah.
So then at 9:40,
yeah,
the man that I live with, aka my husband, tells me, oh, I had to move the internet wire because I saw the cat chewing on it.
Oh. Yeah, that'll happen.
And I said, wait, oh shit, that's what's going on. But I was like, okay, my Wi-Fi is working.
Yep.
Then I forget I am literally the furthest point away from the Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were behind the scene, when we were backstage before hitting live the first time, I was freezing to you, and I didn't realize that would be happening. I was like, oh, I'll just do it on Wi-Fi, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that obviously didn't end up happening. But so this is what everyone needs to understand. Before JPJ went live, I'm looking up at my camera like this is what I'm talking to right now, but that's not what I'm talking to right now. I'm talking right here. Hi, everybody. When JPJ went live the first time, I heard him before he hit the button.
Yeah, you were in the back before your computer, and I was like, all right, log off, we'll figure. And we're talking to each other for like a minute, but like we're talking to each other, so you can clearly hear me. And then I go live, and everyone's like, we can't hear you. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, my stuff is the same. It's always been. I've been doing this for 3 years. My shit's the same. It always is. And Drew and I were just having a conversation. I was like, what is going on? But anyway, we digress. Technology, right? Technology.
Yeah, so I'm getting a new wire, and hopefully it comes before our show tomorrow, on Thursday. It's supposed to come on
Hopefully.
Thursday, but maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
We'll see. But Sandy's saying, yeah, it's a StreamYard thing, I think. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I know, Pluggo. Everybody's so disappointed. They're like, oh, it actually worked, and they're going to do a show? Damn. We were hoping we'd have a day off from hearing this friggin' bum screaming about something.
We do not have days off here. No days.
No days off. No days off. But, before the nonsense of this morning, sorry for the delay. We're gonna be coming on here. We're gonna be talking all things WWE, as it is an episode of Firmly WWE. And there is a lot to discuss. We had a good episode of Raw last night. There was an excellent episode of SmackDown last Friday. Saturday night's main event is this Saturday, and they loaded that puppy up. 5 big time matches on that. That is very much PLE like on Saturday, so we'll run through that card. But yeah, I thought last night's episode was very good. I thought it was very good. There was a lot of it crammed in. There was some good matches, a lot of promos, but like these dudes were saying some things during these promos last night. There were some good one-liners in there. Sandy, 100% NXT Deadline was very good. The Deadline was very good for anybody that did watch Deadline.
I did catch some of that show, actually. And you know what? For the first time I saw an Iron Survivor.
Yeah, it's a good little match, isn't it?
I'm impressed. I actually like that concept. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not your normal wrestling match by any means. But I like the 25-minute countdown. I like how the match is going to go 25 minutes long. I think that's a nice little thing. And I just like the sense of urgency that match provides. I think that's what I enjoy the most, is like, whether you're one of the first 2 that are in there or you're any one of the other ones in there, the second you get in there, the sense of urgency from all the wrestlers is really what makes it for me. Because it's hey, I got 15 minutes or whatever to get as many pinfalls as I can to win this. And it's just, there's no resting. There's no, let me take my time to do, I got to win. And I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah. I absolutely hate this camera angle, and I can't do anything about it, unfortunately.
We'll get through. But I do like it. I do like that type of match. I think for a new match, like a new match creation, I do think it's one of the better ones they've come up with in a little bit. Now, I will say, the one thing that, and look, it's just the way the match is going to go, right? I don't want every one of these matches to end with a pinfall in the last 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I understand
why that's happening every time.
Well, last year, Trick Williams got like 3 pinfalls in the last 15 seconds to win. And the moment was amazing. But then you fast forward this year, and in the men's tournament, in the men's match on Saturday, the last pinfall by Obafemi Obafemi was incredible. Like the last pinfall from Julia was with 7 seconds left. The last pinfall from Obafemi was with 12 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, obviously that type of match is going to dictate what happens, and like that's going to happen probably the majority of the time. But I don't need to see the final pinfall in the last 10 seconds every time there's this type of match. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want, how WWE can be sometimes. Like, I don't want them to just fall into this repetitive nature where they're like, oh, this is going to be a good match, but we'll have them all be tied. Everyone's going to be tied and 10 seconds left. Somebody's going to win. And then somebody's going to be going for a pin and the time's going to end. and that's what we're going to do. Like, I don't want it to be like that every one, because that can get repetitive, you know? So again, there's only been like 4 or 5 or 6 of these in history so far. So again, it's a fun match, but you know, when you have the first 4 or 5 in the history of the match and they all end very similarly, I need I need a little bit more thought when you're booking your finishes of these matches a little bit, just a smidge. It should be predictable because she should probably win it, and we'll talk about it.
People that I know have been saying that Lyra Valkyria, right?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce that?
Yeah.
I can't pronounce. It's terrible.
It's Valkyria.
I don't know.
Yeah, Lyra Valkyria.
I said it right the first time. I can't believe it. That might be the first time that happened. It's I actually
it's her or Dakota Kai for me. That should be the final.
I did not get a chance to like send you the bracket that they put out yesterday.
Oh yeah.
But I think the finals. Okay. So I have been saying on the SmackDown side that Bailey and Tiffany are going to be in the finals.
Yeah, which I
Bailey's going to win.
It shouldn't be that. And I love Bailey, but to me, the U.S. I think they're doing the right thing on Raw, because I think the final of the IC title is going to be Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria. And I think they're doing the right thing on Raw and having it be not top people, but like that next level. How do we elevate someone by winning this title? Where on SmackDown, even though I love Bailey, she's my GOAT, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but my favorite female wrestler. Scott, if you don't want anybody watching, no offense. But sorry. We who in 2024, come on. But
well, so far my predictions are correct, but we'll see what happens. For me, I feel that the finals for this tournament for the IC title is going to be Raquel Rodriguez and Kairi Sane. And Kairi Sane is going to win.
Yeah, no, not for me. I mean, you might be right. You're going to be right on the SmackDown side. But to me, again, but even for me, Raquel and Kairi, to me, are more fit into the vibe that I'm looking for, as opposed to, you know what I mean? Like, I understand establishing a new belt. Yeah, it's the new Women's United States Championship. Let's establish it. How you can't get much more establishment and great establishment of a title than putting it on Bailey. Obviously, Bailey's one of the true greats in the history of this stuff. So, like, I understand that. But to me, these belts should have been made to elevate people up the roster, not, you know what I mean? If you're telling, now, again, Raquel and Kairi to me are more on people who could use an, you know what, that's more of what I'm thinking about. Like when I see people in the US title tournament and I see a Chelsea Green who hasn't won a belt since she's been back and doing all this excellent work, when I see a Mi Chin who's very good and been doing a lot of excellent work who hasn't won a singles title yet, when I know Tiffany made it, I felt like it should have been Naomi, but when I know Tiffany made it, Tiffany is also in that realm to me, but she's the Money in the Bank for a reason, because they know what they got in her. You know what I mean? So when I see people in that tournament, like a Chelsea Green, like a Mi Chin, like a Naomi, who hasn't been a champion since she's been back, those are the people to me that should be winning these mid-card titles. On the Raw side, a Lyra Valkyria, a Dakota Kai. Raquel would be fine. Kairi Sane would be fine as well. I think those people are more into kind of what I'm doing it. But like, and Dan gets it. He says, I agree that belts need to elevate talent, but I argue the first champion needs to be an already established name to give it credibility. And it's like, I understand that argument too.
So I think you can do that with the US title, but I think that the Intercontinental title should go more to a newer person, because I feel, from what I can recall, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, in regards to the men's IC and US titles,
Yeah.
it feels like the US title is the more established brand type of a title, of like the more veteran type of a wrestler title, while the Intercontinental title is more of like the workhorse underdog scrappy babyface
I
type
could,
of a
yeah.
title.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gunther, not when
I
Gunther had
mean,
it.
well, I mean Gunther, maybe not babyface, that's the wrong word, but just like that like the workhorse type of a person.
Mm.
It can be seen as, I mean, a lot of people say it's like the stepping stone to the world title,
That's
pretty
what it
much.
used. That's what it. Ideally, on both these shows, these middle tier, they are stepping stones. If you can have a good run with the mid card title, you should
But
be able. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
the
the other
thought
thing
process
too
would
is
be, we
that
can lift you up to get up to the top. You know?
mid is it the IC title or the US title that is like the one that is elevating the person who wins it to, I guess that's the IC title. I think I just answered that question. So you want to establish a workhorse like a Kyrie, like a Dakota,
Yeah.
who can shine as your champion and can be elevated into the main event once they lose that title.
Mm. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like, for me, I look at the landscape of things, and and I get it. Like Dan says, with respect to these wrestlers, what championship would mean more to win? The one who someone beat Randy Orton to win, or the Hurricane? And it's like, I think using the Hurricane is a little bit,
I don't understand that comment. What does he
well,
mean by
'cause
that?
when we're talking about like whether you want to give the belt to like somebody new to elevate, or an established person. He's like, which championship would mean more? The one you beat Randy Orton for, or the one you beat the Hurricane for? Like, what would mean more to you? Because Randy Orton is clearly an established,
Oh, okay,
or you know
got
what
it.
I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I will say, even though the Hurricane was excellent and we all love the Hurricane, comparing the Hurricane, a gimmick character, to a Chelsea Green, like these are like, they are like, Chelsea Green has a gimmick as a character, like she's that, but like they are not, they are more complete superstars. A Mi Chin, a Chelsea Green, a Dakota Kai. These are not, the Hurricane was a comedy. Like, I understand what he's saying in general.
Well, he
I
was a good
understand what
wrestler.
he's saying.
Shane Helms was a good
Oh, he was
wrestler, though,
great,
wasn't
but
he?
but the character, the Hurricane, was completely comedy. Like, he was good in the, I just feel like that's a little bit of a disservice to, you know, but I don't know. I just feel like, and like, and again, Scott's like mentioning Natty and stuff like that. Like, we love Natty around here. Natty is one of the greatest of all time. But I think when you're talking about an established veteran that you want to establish the title, Natty is not going to move the needle anymore. Like, that's nobody, the majority of fans, unfortunately, are not going to give a single care in the world if. Now, I do think Natty will win her first round matchup, and I think she will be in the semifinals against Lyra Valkyria. I do think that will happen. I do think Natty will win, because
It's
the
possible.
IC title in the Hart family is very important, and it has a strong lineage. Brett, Owen, the IC title means a lot to the Hart family in general. So I could see Natty getting to the second round to face Lyra Valkyria, and then Valkyria going over. And that's kind of like, Natty does a sign of respect at the end, and, kind of what I could see something like that occurring.
Hmm.
Because I don't, I could see Natty winning the first round, because I think she's in a winnable matchup for her. Like, there's no,
Natty has that's the Kyrie Sane
yeah, it's
and
Kairi Sane.
is it Caden Caden
Yeah.
Carter? Is that who it is? I think.
Yeah. I think it's one of those. I think it's one of
Hmm.
those. Um, but I do think Natalia makes it to the second round. I do. I honestly do. Um, Yeah, so we've already had Dakota Kai has beat Katana Chance and Shayna Baszler. Last night, Lyra Valkyria beat Selena Vega and Ivy Nile. We have Zoe Stark, Raquel Rodriguez, and Kaden Carter. And then we have Alba Fire, Kairi Sane, and Natalia. So I think I think Natalia can win that match, and it'll be Lyra Valkyria versus Natalia. And I think because of what we saw last night, which we'll talk about in another Dakota Kai match, I think Zoe Stark is winning. Like you said, you have Raquel. I think Zoe Stark's winning because they're going to do the Pure Fusion collection came out and beat the shit out of Dakota Kai last night. So why would they do that if Zoe Stark was not going to be the one that has a one-on-one match with Dakota Kai in the second round?
Well, famously, the Pure Fusion Collective lose everything.
No, but they will lose. Zoe Stark will lose that second round match to Dakota Kai. But I feel like they did that angle last night where they came out and just attacked Dakota before the rest of Damage Control came out to help her. They did that. It would not make sense at all for that not to lead to a Dakota Kai versus Zoe Stark one-on-one match to kind of get revenge, you know? So when you look at that three, Raquel is the person with the biggest, you know.
Kairi's on the other side of the bracket, and it could be Zoe Stark and Kairi in the final.
It could. I think that would be an awful decision. But
why?
Not awful, but you know, like I think Raquel in the final she just doesn't need to be there. This belt is not for her. She's not going to win this belt.
Well, no, Tiffany, it's not the belt. The U.S. title is not for Tiffany either, but she's going to be in the final.
Yeah, and she shouldn't be. And I love Tiffany. I've been talking high on Tiffany longer than anybody here at Love Wrestling. She shouldn't have won that match. She doesn't need to win that match. She shouldn't be in the final. She has a briefcase that says that she doesn't need to be in the final.
Well, there's the story of her and Nia, and she's going to be like, oh, she's going to get this title, and then she's going to, you know, obviously what's going on there is Nia is going to get in Tiffany's head and cause her to lose, and Bayley's going to become the first champion because Nia doesn't want her to be champion while she's champion too, because it's going to be, you know, that they're going to do that classic like I'm better than you type of a thing, and you know she's been manipulating her since she won the title to begin with.
Oh yeah, to me,
the IC when is the IC Women's final? Do we know?
I assume it'll be on the Raw on Netflix. I feel like that would be
that's possible.
A big gaffe if it wasn't one of the main things you're doing on that first Raw on Netflix.
That's a month away.
Yes.
So
you have two triple threat matches we still need to do. Then you have your two. So like next week, if we have one more triple threat, then in the week after you complete the first round, and then you do the semifinals, the last Raw of the year, or the Raw before the Netflix Raw. You do both semifinal one-on-one matches. And then the Raw on Netflix, you crown the new champ on Raw, on Netflix, on the debut. I feel like that it would be a major miss if you did not do that. A major miss.
So they have 3 weeks to do 4 matches.
Yeah, but they'll do the semifinals on both. They're doing both semifinals in the U.S. tournament on Friday. The one-on-one matches, you can do both in one night. Why do you need to, you know?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So if you have 3 weeks, you do the third triple threat next week. You complete the triple threats the following week. And then that last week before the Raw, like the Raw before the Netflix Raw, you do both semifinal one-on-one matches on that Raw.
Yeah.
And then you have your final set. You have a week to promote it. Raw on Netflix. Boom.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Because that's what they're doing this Friday. They're doing both semifinal one-on-one matches to see who's going to be fighting at Saturday night's main event in the championship for the U.S. So I think they kind of follow suit on Raw.
Yeah.
It makes all the sense in the world to me to have the finals be on the first Raw on Netflix. How could it not be? You know? I feel like that's a no-brainer. But all right, anyway, let's dive in here. We got a show to talk about. Now, usually we start talking about Raw, but this show didn't start the way it was supposed to today because we didn't start until 10:25 because StreamYard and YouTube or whoever,
my cat,
Drew's cat, was just like, hey guys, screw yourselves. So I did want to talk a little bit about SmackDown though. because
Oh,
SmackDown.
because the greatest thing ever happened on
Well, yeah, the
SmackDown.
Kevin Owens segment, but like we're gonna talk about that. But there
The
was a lot
second
of
greatest thing also ever happened.
yeah, there was a lot of good stuff on SmackDown. So, but first and foremost, before we dive in, what they announced on SmackDown was that we have a transfer window, Drew. Apparently, we're playing soccer in the WWE. But we have a transfer window, which they said allows superstars, wrestlers from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT to basically work deals with the GMs and potentially show up on different shows, transfer over, stuff like that, things like that. Now, I'm used to a transfer window in soccer. I do pay attention to a little bit of the soccer. I know it's football for our European friends, but the transfer window is a thing in soccer. So I find it funny that they decided to call it that. But we saw on SmackDown, we've been seeing it all, but like American Made showed up on SmackDown and Chad Gable
Yes.
was there, and that ended up leading to the main event with Gable and Cody, which was excellent, and stuff like that. Last night, we saw Tiffany Stratton in the background talking. We talked about Nick Aldis. We saw Cody last night on Raw walk out of Nick Aldis's room before he had
Dominic
things to say.
Mysterio was
Was
also
on
in the background on SmackDown.
correct. Gunther was at SmackDown coming out of the locker room with Nick Aldis. So we're starting to see, we haven't seen any, at least in the corner of my eye, we haven't seen any NXT people yet. I do think you said you watched some of Deadline. After NXT Deadline, Ethan Page lost in the Iron Survivor, and he cut a backstage promo where it was very much one of those, like, I don't know what my future holds. I don't know what I have to do. I'm confused, blah, blah, blah. But he mentioned one name, and it's a name he's been mentioning a few times, and that's CM Punk. And I wonder if we will get an Ethan Page versus CM Punk match at some point here soon on a Raw or on a, I wonder, because Ethan Page showed up on Raw a few months ago and he was arguing with Adam Pearce about wanting to fight CM Punk because CM Punk showed up at Netflix, at NXT for a week in Chicago, and he kind of got in Ethan Page's face, and Ethan Page lost the title. And so it seems like they're kind of teasing that, where Ethan Page has mentioned CM Punk more than a few times. And with this transfer window, a one-off, we haven't seen CM Punk wrestle on Raw at all since he's been back. He has not had a match outside of a pay-per-view since he's returned on TV. Pretty sure.
Yeah. Wow.
I am pretty sure.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah. So, and again, he was injured for a long time of that. But he has not had a televised match since he's been back on regular TV. And I think if you're going to do that before the Rumble, you want to throw him on TV before the end of the year on the Rumble, whatever, I think Ethan Page is beautiful to show up for one night and say, whatever, have a throwaway. Ethan Page can lose, but everybody on the main roster and the main roster fans can see what Ethan Page can offer, because that guy's a main roster talent yesterday. And I just think that's a win-win. That's a win-win for everybody. But anyway, so we don't have to talk about everything that was on SmackDown. However, Tiffany Stratton did win her first round triple threat match. I thought it was going to go to Naomi, but Tiffany Stratton did win that. So she is in the semifinal. She defeated Naomi and Elektra Lopez. I'll tell you what, Bianca Belair and Piper Niven had themselves a friggin' match on Friday night on SmackDown. That match was fantastic between those two. That was a very good match with Bianca Belair defeating Piper Niven with the KOD. Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight look to be continuing, but now Andrade is in the mix. Oh, we're going to talk about that, Andy. That was the thing that I love the most on Saturday, even though the Kevin Owens things were just gold to me. So that happened. So it looks like LA Knight. So I think are we going to get a fatal four-way here? Because Jacob Fatu, Andrade, Solo Sikoa, LA Knight.
So what I thought
Nakamura,
of that segment,
because
segment seemed like a hey, we lost in War Games, so I'm being a crybaby bitch about it. So I'm just gonna throw a temper tantrum and ruin something because that's you know, that it, this is actually, I think, is the perfect role for Solo, by the way. I
Mm,
think he should just be fucking shit up
yep.
all the time
Agreed.
because he is just, a little crybaby about losing. I think that should be. I loved what he did on Friday. That should be what he does more going forward. And
100%.
yeah, so obviously there's going to be some sort of a match or something that
Hmm.
comes out of him interrupting LA Knight and Andrade. So with Tongaloa out for, I guess, months, it's going to be
Yeah, I was gonna
months
say
probably.
he tore up his bicep, right? That's a big one. That's a long
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
So thank you, Sandy. I hope I get my Jacob Fatu shirt to WWE. I'm still waiting. Anyway, um, yeah, so they they interrupted this, and this could be a tag match between the two of them. I feel like now that Tonga Loa is out, we may not see Tama Tonga as much,
Mm.
and I mean I'm sure they'll still have him on TV, but he
Which I think
probably
is a shame because I think honestly, I think they're underutilizing Tamatonga. To be honest with you. Like I know he's in the Gorillas of Destiny. Now I would hope that that guy was a top guy in New Japan. Like he was world champ. Like that guy, I know he's a sidekick in this that we're doing here. He's not one of the main, he's not Solo, he's not Jacob, but
but
he's not just oh, all hell's breaking loose on this show. All hell is breaking loose on this show. What is going on here? We lost Drew. Bless everyone. But until we get Drew back, we do have some people in the chat. They were talking. I'm soloing this. You want to talk about solo? I'm soloing this. It is. It is. The lights are flickering. The light. I want to talk about them too because I want to. Yeah, dude. All right. So last Friday, though, one of the main things that occurs, we have ourselves. So we go into the night. We go into the night with the tag team title match scheduled. It is Motor City Machine Guns going against the Street Profits. That is the Build Tag Team title match on Friday night. Early on in the show, we hear from commentary from Michael Cole that something's happening in the back. We go to the back and we find out that the Street Profits are laid out. Oddly enough, right, and Drew, I know Drew's not here because he's rebooting his stuff because this is just a nightmare show, apparently. Drew was I was doing a watch along on my own channel, and Drew was in my chat, and Drew goes, "Oh, because they showed the Street Profits get attacked in the back, and then the very next thing was Bianca Belair coming out for her entrance in her match against Piper." And Drew wrote something in the comments, and he was like, "I'm glad somebody told." He goes, "I'm glad they made Bianca aware that her husband just got viciously attacked in the back." Made me laugh. Maybe like her husband gets viciously attacked to the point where they can't be in their tag match, and Bianca's the next one, just like, all right, let's go. Time to wrestle. It's like nobody told her. Nobody told her that her husband just got murked in the back. What are we doing? Anyway, so then all of a sudden, Nick Aldis is in the back. He doesn't know what to do. He's flustered. Motor City Machine Guns is saying they still want to fight, but he's telling them that the match is going to be off. And they don't want to hear that. They're like, no, we're fighting champions. We want to fight. And then just lo and behold, Johnny Gargano shows up out of nowhere. Coincidence? Maybe. Johnny Gargano shows up out of nowhere. He says, hey, look, I know how it looks. I know how it looks, but they want to fight. We're friends. He's talking to Alex Shelley. He's like, we've been friends for a long time. You know me come on. And then Motor City Machine Guns goes to Aldis and they go, hey, oh, wow. As Drew just shows up again, we got people talking trash. So,
you know what? Ban that motherfucker. God,
so
tired of him.
Johnny Gargano just kind of shows up right at the right time. He says, hey, I know how this looks, but they don't have a match now. We'll do it. Alex, come on, we go way back. You want to fight? Come on, we go way back. Blah blah blah. And Alex Shelley tells all this. He goes, yeah, he's right. Like, make the match. We'll fight DIY. And it's just like, okay. So that they make the match.
It was so obvious where this was going, and I loved every moment of it.
Yeah, it was incredible. Then before the match, I just put you over, though, as you left, because I said that earlier in the night they showed the Street Profits get attacked. And then I said that the very next thing that happened after that was Bianca Belair coming out for her match. And I said, you were in my watch along, and you said something like, oh, I'm glad they told Bianca that her husband just got viciously attacked in the back. And I was like, yeah, that is kind of, because then she put something on Twitter like, first Jade, now my husband who's out to get, you just went out there fucking flipping your hair and dancing the second after he got hurt. Anyway. Yeah, so then we get the tag title match on SmackDown is now DIY versus the Motor City Machine Guns. We see Tommaso Ciampa earlier in the night trying to give Gargano a pep talk, but Gargano is still very much like, you're being a psycho, dude. Like, relax, bro. Like, what's going on with you? So we have this match, good little match. It's a normal tag match the whole time, back and forth, good stuff. Hoosier, I think they're going that way. Well, I don't think, no, she didn't murk the Profits. DIY clearly did. But Bianca turning, I think it's happening. I think Bianca is going to be the one that attacked Jade. I do think they're going that way. But
yeah, because they're making you think it was Naomi.
Correct. So we have a normal match, and let me tell you guys, Motor City Machine Guns, their tag team move arsenal, there are not many better. The tag team maneuvers that they do are so good and so crisp. It's very, like, nobody else does the stuff that they do in the ring when it comes to like tag team moves and things like that. They are tremendous with what they do.
Yeah.
So towards the end of this match, Johnny Gargano gets tagged in by Tommaso Ciampa. And then Tommaso distracts the referee. And while he's doing this, Johnny Gargano hits a low blow. So Ciampa comes in with the chair. He slides the chair into the ring. The ref sees it. He grabs the chair, the ref. He throws the chair out of the ring, and Ciampa's yelling at him. They're doing that spot there. And Gargano's in the ring. I think it's with Alex Shelley at this point, because they're the ones that are friends, right? They've been chatting about how they're friends and stuff.
Right.
And he gives the low blow right in the penis, as our friend Sean Ross Sapp would say. Gives the low blow. And that smile, yep, Sandy says it, that smile that he hit after he did it, that heel Johnny Gargano, smart-ass, snarky smile. He hits a low blow. Ciampa gets in the ring. They hit him with the running super kick knee, the finishing move. And we have a 1-2 meet in the middle. That's what they call it. They hit him with meet in the middle and on Chris Sabin. And we have a 1-2-3 count. And we have new WWE Tag Team Champions on the SmackDown side of things. A heel DIY are the new tag champs. I thought this was perfectly done. The heel turn was amazing. I love how we saw title change on a regular TV show. I loved how we saw a title change on SmackDown.
Which is, I mean, that's the second time now in.
I know. In like a month, month and a half or so?
I saw them win. I saw MCMG win the titles in Brooklyn.
Yep.
So that was awesome,
I loved it
too. So it's really I was enjoying the descent like that, like heel Ciampa babyface Gargano thing, but I actually like Johnny as a heel.
He's great.
He's a bad heel at all.
No, he's a great heel.
Sinner was even saying that he booked Johnny's first ever heel turn in 2008 or 2008-ish.
Yeah,
he actually does slip into it really nicely, and that little like that heel smile that Sandy said, like that goofy like gotcha
Yep.
That type of thing. He plays that role really great. I mean, remember The Way?
Oh my God. Yeah.
He
And
was so
you
entertaining in that.
know what I also loved later on in the night? There was a backstage segment when Candace came over and they hugged Candace and Candace was on screen with the two of them. And that works for me too. Cause now we don't have, now that they're all bad people, like Candace can hang around with her husband. Like I just liked everything about it. And like Motor City Machine Guns, they prove their point. Like WWE proved their point with Motor City Machine Guns by giving the titles to them that quickly and establishing them as somebody that you need to immediately care about. They are going to get so much more over with the crowd in the chase to get these titles back. So much more over with it.
Yeah.
I thought this was perfectly done because it takes the belt off Motor City Machine Guns. We have a new angle, a new heel turn on an established team. And now you have Motor City Machine Guns and DIY are going to have potentially a long form tag team feud over the belts with Motor City Machine Guns chasing them again. The crowd, they are going to be so much more over by the time they get those belts back. It's going to be incredible. Very, very well done, this segment with the heel turn from DIY. I loved every second of it. And then the other thing on SmackDown that I wanted to talk about was another thing that I loved every single second of. And that was Kevin Owens, my man. And we're going to talk about Saturday night's main event. You should put the strap on him on Saturday, guys. He should win. He should win. He won't, but he should win.
He should. He really should.
We'll talk about that because we'll end by running through the 5-match card quickly after we discuss Raw and stuff. So Michael, earlier in the night, Kevin Owens is doing one of his car. It's live on SmackDown though, but he's doing one of his car interviews that he's been doing lately. And he says, I can't tell you how many times I've come to SmackDown only to not be let inside, even though they tell me I have to be here. He goes, so you know what? I'm here. You guys can come on my time. So Michael Cole, you want to come interview me? You can come outside. You can come out here. Come on here.
I like too that they showed that this is where you do the right thing and not make your audience look stupid.
Yes.
So they showed 2 chairs being set up.
They did earlier in the
for
night.
the interview.
Yes, they did.
With Michael and Kevin.
Sure did.
But then they went to Kevin, and Kevin's like, "Nah, you're coming out here. I'm not going out in there. I'm done playing your game." This was masterful. I love, and Kevin Owens has always kind of been booked as like the smart, like he's the one that was like, "Oh, this is not Ezekiel. This is Elias." Like he's always been
the logic. Like even heel or bad guy, he's always had the most logic. Dan, he should.
Yeah.
Let's
not make this a battle of the belt show.
Yeah, please. All right, so
I think that'll be something that establishes Saturday night's main event as a major show.
So later on, so then you have Michael Cole like every segment or so just bitching and moaning that he's going to have to go outside, which was
it's cold out there.
Oh, so he wants me to go outside. He wants me to go outside. Like it's tremendous. So he's just complaining.
They show him
get up like he's just like, God, he's so upset. He's like,
you could just see it on his face while he's walking up the ramp.
Bullshit. He's so upset, and it's tremendous. So he goes outside and he walks up to Kevin, who has the window down, and he goes, "Are we really doing this? We're really doing this?" And KO's like, "Yeah." He goes, you're Cody, get in the car. He goes, "Where are we going to do it?" There's nothing. He goes, "Get in the car. Get in the car. We'll do it." And Michael Cole's like, "You got to be unbelievable." So Michael Cole gets in the car. He claims that he was going to do an unbiased interview, to which KO claps back immediately. And he goes, "Unbiased?" He goes, "You're Cody Rhodes' biggest fanboy. You're going to be unbiased." And they start going back. Michael Cole says, "Dude, I've been supporting you your whole career. I'm part of the reason what got you here in NXT. When you showed up, I was there." He goes, "I've been supporting you your whole career." And then KO goes into, Cody betraying him, teaming with Roman, kind of the stuff we've heard. He starts going into that stuff. And then he points out that Cody, Yeah, he said, Cody's accusing me of only caring about climbing the ladder when he himself left the WWE because he was unhappy with his spot. Good little thing by KO there. So then Michael Cole is trying to convince him. He says, pointing out all the others who agree with Cody. He mentions Sammy. He mentions other people. And KO, which I thought was very good foreshadowing, he says, Sami Zayn, yeah, we'll get to that down. We'll get to that. Which tells me I think that's the match at Mania, dude. I think it's KO and Sammy at Mania 1-on-1. I think that is a possibility that we run that back at Mania. But anyway, KO looks in the rearview mirror and he says, "Oh," he goes, "I see a handsome guy who's right." And he's talking about himself. A little one-liner that made me laugh. And he goes, "You know what?" He goes, I can't do this anymore, Michael. Like nobody can see what's going on. He goes, can you please exit my rental vehicle? Exit my rental vehicle. Michael Cole goes, yeah, whatever. Michael Cole gets up, he gets out of the car, and then I laughed hysterically. KO just goes, "Oh, hey, Michael. And Michael turns around and walks over and he goes, "You gonna apologize?" And as he's walking over, KO just rolls up the window. Oh,
I love this man so much.
It was just such a like it wasn't even necessary to the whole segment, but you could just tell that was probably added in by KO.
I think he really did.
I think that was probably just
ad-libbed.
ad-libbed. Yeah, because I don't know if anybody is creatively funny enough besides KO to think of that, because that was just perfect for the moment. Hey, Michael. And then he just rolls it. That was just, and then they just show him drive off. And man, what a segment. What a segment.
You got to put the title on this guy.
Oh my God. And then we had a great main event with Chad Gable and Cody Rhodes on SmackDown. Very good. And at the end, Cody wins, but the person who drove away earlier in the night, Kevin Owens, shows up and he beat the crap out of Cody. And then it turned into like a brawl type segment, and that's how SmackDown ended. So I wanted to at least touch through SmackDown before we got to Raw, because I thought SmackDown was very, very good. And I loved some of the stuff that happened on there. But let's talk about Raw, Drew. Let's talk about Raw. Last night, Raw was in Wichita, Kansas. And those people in that crowd showed WWE exactly why they should not go to Wichita, Kansas anymore. Because that crowd last night. Anyway, I digress. I love when you spend all that money and you just sit there on your hands and not react to anything. That's what a way to spend your money.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm used to that on Wednesdays.
Unbelievable. Why spend the money to go to the show if you're going to be on your phone and not watching the show? Jesus. I digress. Show opens. Gunther makes his entrance. And then immediately he is interrupted by the Judgment Day. They didn't even react to that guy. You would think, of all places, Wichita, Kansas would know who the bull rider is that they showed on the show. They didn't even react to that guy. That guy was going like this, trying to get people to do stuff because they weren't reacting to anything. Ridiculous. When Lyra Valkyria came out for her triple threat match, you couldn't hear a thing. It's unbelievable. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Gunther comes out to start the show. Judgment Day interrupts immediately. Finn Balor says that Gunther's been messing around and giving title shots to undeserving folks. He mentions Dominic, who's right next to him, by the way. Just shitting on Dominic right in front of him. So that's continuing. And he talks about how he's responsible for Gunther keeping the title through the last couple defenses. And that means that he's going to walk out of Saturday night's main event as the new World Heavyweight Champion. Gunther is not only back as a badass, he was pure babyface last night. That promo that he cut to Finn Balor was a babyface promo.
Yeah, it did have a lot of, it kind of like had almost a foreshadowing to it, I think, where you could see that Gunther could be for the first time ever in WWE, a pretty damn good babyface.
Yep. And then here's some of the quotes I wrote because Gunther had a good one. Yeah. So then Gunther talks back to Finn. He talks about the inaugural Universal Championship. He goes, "I looked up to you at that time." He goes, and the exact quote was, what did he say? He goes, he goes, "You won the inaugural Universal Championship and how I looked up to you at that time, but that faded away as he started cutting corners and taking shortcuts." And then the quote is, he goes, "You chose to hang around with a bunch of weirdos in a clubhouse, and you chose to be second fiddle to Damian Priest." He goes, 8 years ago, you were the best in the world for one night. He goes, "I'm the best in the world today and for thousands of days to come."
What a line. That was awesome.
I made sure to go back and write that one down because I was like, oh, that was a good one. Let's see here. He says that Finn is not on his level and never will be. And then that prompts the Judgment Day to surround him on the apron. But Damian Priest comes out and he evens the odds. So Judgment Day gets kind of beat up by Priest and Gunther. And then Damian Priest turns around right into a big clothesline from Gunther. And then Gunther clears the announce desk. But Balor pops up out of nowhere. He hits a sling blade on Gunther. And then he shotgun drop kicks him onto the steel steps. Then they bring Priest in the ring. Balor hits a coup de grace on Gunther on the floor from the steps. Then Judgment Day all attack Damian. And Finn Balor ends up hitting not one, not two, not three, but 4 coup de grace on Damian Priest in the ring. And that's how the opening segment of Raw ends. And we'll just talk about it now. We find out later. It was only 3. I thought it was 4, but 3 coup de grace from Finn. I thought it was 4. I thought he went up for a 4th one.
No, it was 3. Yeah,
it was 3. So he hits 3 coup de grace on Damian Priest. And then we find out later on in the evening, as Finn Balor and crew were kind of in the back, kind of set. Hoosier, I'm going to be honest with you. It never fails, but it's getting a little bit fucking repetitive. It's like the 4th or 5th Raw in a row that started with a promo that turns into a brawl. Like, again, be more creative. So I agree with you. Yes, it's always exciting, but like it's like 4 or 5 shows in a row now where there's been an opening promo that turns into a brawl. It's like Triple H's, he loves himself an opening promo that delves and that dissolves into a brawl. But it's been like every week for like a month. Like you got to switch it up sometimes. But we find out later on in the evening from Adam Pearce that the match on Saturday, which was supposed to be Finn Balor versus Gunther for the world title, is now a triple threat match as Damian Priest has been inserted. And so it will be Gunther versus Damian Priest versus Finn Balor for the world heavyweight title on Saturday night's main event now. So a little bit of a change there. So that happens there. And then we also found out that next Monday on Raw, Finn Balor and JD McDonough will be defending their tag team championships against the War Raiders. And Adam Pearce said, no Judgment Day allowed at ringside. So
yeah, Adam Pearce laid the hammer down.
He did. He finally put his foot down and said, you know what? They're not allowed. Now, do you think now, obviously we have the Saturday night's main event first, but do you think that they're going to lose those tag belts to the War Raiders next week?
Absolutely.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
I think so too. Sandy? Oh, go ahead, Drew. Yes.
You know what? When we get to SNME, then I'll talk.
Yeah, I was going to say triple threat does mean no DQ. So I know Finn was pissed, but that means that Pearce didn't say his boys can't be there on Saturday. So I don't know why Finn was upset, because once it becomes I know why you're upset. It's a third guy, more things to worry about. But a triple threat means no DQ, which means that you can just have your boys down there doing everything that you need to do. Joe, I don't think it'll be on purpose, but I do think it'll be something, because again, last night, Finn talking shit about Dom. He's talking major shit about Dom.
I'm gonna wait.
We'll
I'm
wait.
gonna
We'll
wait
wait. Yeah, we'll wait. We'll wait.
because I have words, but I'm
Yep.
gonna wait.
Yep. So we had a backstage segment with the Judgment Day as well, where it seemed like they were all on the same page. Liv was very much like, when we listen to Finn, we win. Like, she was
Yeah.
saying that and shit, and Finn was calling her sis and things like that. I was like, I don't think they're all as hunky dory as it seems,
Yeah,
but
you're
all
all
right.
devolving
Yeah.
into your friendships are devolving.
Yeah. Then we had
Which
Drew.
is, I mean, listen though, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that's exactly what Finn has wanted all along, it
That's what
seems,
it
because
seems.
the way he's treated them has been like shit. So
Yeah. Yeah. We then had our 8-man tag match. It was Final Testament and The Miz versus the Wyatt Six. Now, you and I have been very high on the Wyatt Six and kind of everything there, but I was doing the watch along last night, and I was chatting with my buddy Matt, who joins me on Mondays, and we were talking about, we were like, hey, we obviously like this gimmick. We like the Wyatt Six. We like the tributes to Bray and all this stuff, but how far can this thing go? How far can this thing go? Right. And my buddy Matt was kind of like, yeah, he goes, that's the thing that worries me the most, is like, how do you keep this fresh? He goes, because I feel like they've already kind of moved down a little bit from how we felt about them a couple months ago to how we feel about them now. Now, we talked about that. And then this match happened, and Karrion Kross and crew beat them, because Paul Ellering showed up. He threw powder in Uncle Howdy's face, and the Final Testament wins. And then I said to Matt, I said, well, we were talking about at the beginning of this match how to keep them fresh. One of the ways to keep them fresh is by them losing, because I did not expect them to lose.
right, yeah, neither did I.
And I think them losing matches will keep them fresh, because I think that, I was under the impression there was going to be, they're just going to be feuding after people that turn on people or turn their backs on friends and families and stuff like that. Then they'll have these big matches, they'll win them, and then they'll disappear until the next one. And that's where I was like, how do you keep that fresh after so many times? You know what I mean? Like, how do you keep that fresh? But now that they're losing, now I want to see what Bo has to say. Like, I want to see where they go now.
Right.
Because now they have to build back from, it didn't work. It didn't work, Karrion Kross, listen, I know everybody shits on Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross has been good, and he's been good for a little bit here. And if you look at the hit,
I don't know if it's that
people shit on that guy.
No, people shit on him, absolutely. I have shit on him sometimes as well, but
He's been
I
good
will
here.
say this. I will say this though. I don't know if it's his wrestling that's as good, but I think he's a very good storyteller.
Oh my God. And like, if you look at all the things that are happening look at all the people that he has dealt with this calendar year on Raw, and look where they are now. He was dealing with Xavier Woods. He tweeted about Xavier Woods last night. He even tweeted about Kofi too. He said, "Oh, I was wrong about you, Kofi. I was wrong about you, Kofi." Think about that. Think about all the time that he spent with Xavier Woods, and now look where Xavier Woods is now. Look at what's going on with The Miz. There's other guys too. I saw a big picture where it had Karrion Kross, and it had everybody that he had like a small feuds with over the last 5 or 6 months, and now they're all characters have completely changed. All of them. And it's like, I feel like, even though it's not right in your face with this, like he's saying things like that in his promos, I feel like they're doing something in a grander scale with him, where maybe like sometime next year, I just feel like there's a bigger story being told behind the scenes with Karrion Kross, because everybody he's feuded with, or this group has come across with this calendar year, their character completely changed after, like a heel turn. They completely changed. And I don't think that that's coincidence. I just don't.
No, I agree with you, and that's why I said, like, I think that he is a very good storyteller because he's been able to, and it's actually the funny thing too, and I don't know if they're doing this on purpose, but last night I had this thought. I was thinking back on what we're talking about here, how he's been integral in changing some people's characters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the last time there was a character that people feuded with and then they changed afterwards?
I mean, what do you mean?
The Fiend.
Oh yeah, yeah,
When you wrestled The Fiend, you became a different person afterwards. It happened with Seth. It happened with Daniel Bryan. It happened with who else did it happen with? At least one more person I know, but I'm forgetting. Um, you wrestled the Fiend,
yep.
and after that feud, you became a different person, and it's very reminiscent of that.
Yeah. So all right, I found the picture. It's probably going to be crappy, but this
But
is the
I
picture.
can't even see it because it's so
Exactly.
tiny.
So yeah, this is the
Oh, I can
picture.
look
So
up here.
Karrion Kross earlier this year, he had a small little mini feud. They had a strap match actually with Drew McIntyre when Drew McIntyre was a
He had a strap
babyface.
match with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, earlier
I
this year.
totally forgot about that.
Yep, they had a strap match and a little mini feud on SmackDown, and then Drew McIntyre turned heel. He had a little mini feud with Shinsuke Nakamura earlier this year. Look where Shinsuke is now. He had a feud with AJ Styles. And then AJ Styles is back as a good guy now, kind of, or he came back and then he got hurt. But AJ Styles then turned heel after that feud with Karrion Kross. He then fought a good guy, Carmelo Hayes, who then a week later turned on Trick Williams in NXT and turned into a bad guy. Then there was the stuff with Xavier Woods and Kofi. Look where they are right now. They turned on their best friend Big E last week. And now he was doing his work on The Miz, who ended up turning on R-Truth and is now aligned with. That's all this calendar year. 6 guys that he feuded with who changed their character almost immediately or within a little bit of time after feuding with Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross also, in his main roster history, has 7 pinfall victories over former world champions as well.
Oh, wow.
7. And somebody said it earlier. Sandy said it. No, I'm sorry. Scott said it. Kross is a Triple H guy. He is. He is. Man, I think there's something larger at play down the line. I think there's something larger than play here when it comes to Karrion Kross. But I thought them beating, that shocked me, especially with him pinning Uncle Howdy. That was Karrion Kross got the pinfall victory over Uncle Howdy. Paul Ellering did come back with the handful of powder. Very old school manager move, the handful of powder. Love to see it. Been a while. Been a while.
He hadn't been on TV since he was attacked, right?
Since he got attacked. Yeah, that was kind of his return.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty good. All right. We then get the sit-down interview with Jackie Redmond and CM Punk.
Ooh,
This was quick. But Punk had some juicy shit in this one. He had some juicy lines, but this was a quick one. But I loved how they made fun of Jackie Redmond because she's a hockey girl. She does hockey as well. And she's in between the glass and does stuff as well. So, and Punk is obviously clearly a huge hockey guy. So she goes, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to come right out and talk about it. And he's like, you better not be talking about the Blackhawks to me. And then she goes, no, we're talking about something that's actually relevant, which made me laugh because the Blackhawks are terrible. But she goes, I have to ask, what's the favor? What's the favor? Which I thought that was good that she asked because I didn't forget about it, but that had definitely gone to the back burner for me. So I'm glad she asked about it. And Punk says, no, I don't think this is the right time or place for that. He goes, it's a personal thing. Me and Paul go way back. It's a personal thing. And then she talks about Seth Rollins. Yes, they are. They're very close friends in real life. And you can tell when they talk. You can tell that they get along. So she mentioned Seth Rollins. And Punk says, I don't shy away from a fight, ever. He goes, if you know me, you know that. I don't shy away from a fight. He goes, but the hatred that Seth has for me confuses me. He goes, because I don't hate Seth at all. He goes, our history goes back quite a bit. He goes, a 16-year-old Seth asked me to train him for free. He goes, that's the key part of this story that nobody ever talks about. Everyone always leaves out. And he's talking about, he says, the entitlement that Seth has carried over, like to the adult Seth Rollins, who wants to be the best in the world. But I remember a time when he was about to be fired, and I shielded him from that.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. He goes, but don't get me wrong. He goes, if I had to live in my shadow, I'd hate me too. I'd hate me too. That was a good line. He said, if I had to live in my shadow, I'd hate me too. And he goes, and everything Rollins has done, I've done first, and I've done it better. He goes, the 16-year-old kid had all the potential in the world. And in my absence, he did a wonderful job filling that spot. But now the starter's back, and the second stringer's got to go back to the bench. Oh, tremendous. And that was it. Like I said, this was not a long interview with CM Punk. It was a few minutes.
Maybe it was like a minute and a half.
Yeah, it was maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes. But in that time, he said 2 or 3, he talked about he made the Shield line. He said that, I'd hate me too if I was in my shadow. Everything that he did, I did first and better. And then the starter's back, second stringer's back to the bench was a nice little line to end it. But I thought this was short and sweet, and I thought this was wonderful. I thought this was a great promo.
I loved his calm demeanor and his straightforwardness, completely contrasting what came after this, because Seth was not either of those things.
No, he was not. But I thought that was a good piece of business with CM Punk. We then had Dakota Kai going one-on-one with Liv Morgan. Big match for Dakota Kai. Okay. How do I say this? When people are in tournaments to win belts, I don't think they need to be having other matches.
I don't disagree with you there.
Look, don't get me wrong. Dakota Kai fighting the women's world champion on Raw, that's a good spot for Dakota Kai, and she deserves it and she earns it. But I've made it no secret that I think Dakota Kai is winning the Intercontinental Championship in this inaugural tournament, at least going to be in the finals, in my opinion. So why is she losing a match on Raw? And I don't care if it is to the world champion. But she's in a tournament where she's potentially going to win a title. Why is she losing a match whilst she's still in this tournament? I don't think that she should have. I don't know. Again, the match was fine. There was a lot of shit that happened at the end of it, which kind of protected things. But to me, if you're in a tournament going for a belt, you don't wrestle besides tournament matches. That's your focus. Why are you doing other matches when you should be focused on, no, I'm going to stay healthy and fresh for my tournament to win this belt?
Now, if she won, would you have the same opinion?
I don't think that Liv Morgan should be losing on Raw. She's a world champion. This match shouldn't have happened.
I don't disagree with you, but I was just curious because
Sandy, in fairness, the crowd didn't care about anything besides the New Day, really. That happened last night anyway. But Johnny, good to see you, friend.
Hey, Johnny.
We will see you Thursday for Firmly AEW. Thanks for we got Sandy popping in on Thursdays when he doesn't watch AEW. We got Johnny popping in on Tuesdays when that's what we're creating here, people.
We love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you popping in and saying hi, my friend. Again, was I upset that Dakota Kai fought Liv Morgan? No. That's a good match. Dakota Kai deserves that type of stuff on Raw. But when she's in the second round of a tournament to crown an inaugural champion in which she's one of the favorites, why is she having other matches? Your prerogative should be the tournament and the tournament only. She has this match. She gets her ass kicked by three people.
It's not her fault that she was booked for it.
No, but you know what I mean. The scheme of things, though. Why are you booking this? We're going to talk about talk about New Day in a little bit, but when Xavier Woods was making his run in the King of the Ring, was he having singles matches on the TV shows other than the King of the Ring tournament matches? No. Because why would he? Why is Dakota Kai in this match when potentially in 2 weeks she's going to have it? It's weird. It's weird. And again, and Sandy makes a good point. If Dakota Kai would have won that match last night, she shouldn't be in the tournament because she should be going for the world title because she just pinned the champ. It was just kind of like a, and again, they did it good enough because obviously we saw the Pure Fusion Collective come out, get involved. They didn't, and they're the reason why Dakota Kai lost this match. But again, regardless of scenario, I don't want to look at my future women's first ever IC champion getting pinned in the middle of the ring on a Raw when she's in the tournament. How does that make her look strong at all? It just doesn't. It was weird. It was weird.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was thinking of like, on the other side of the coin, we have AEW where, where, Beast Mortos was in a match in Collision while he's in the Continental Classic, and he won that match, but it also wasn't against a champion. But it's always, you're putting a wrestler at risk. God forbid something happens. And I mean, we already had, and it wasn't from a non-tournament match, but Juice Robinson was in the Continental Classic and got injured.
Yeah.
And now he had to be replaced. Thankfully, it was early in the tournament, but God forbid you have somebody like Beast Mortos, who's already had 2 or 3 matches in the tournament, get injured.
Yeah.
Now you have to replace that person.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I mean, I don't know if you even end up replacing that person so far into a tournament already. But the point is that you don't, as the booker, you don't take the risk that something happens that ruins the plans that you already have set in place.
Mm-hmm. So again, I just felt like, this match, like, to me, it would have made sense because we hadn't seen this person. Because obviously, what happens after this match is kind of the reason. I would say the main reason this match was booked was because of what happened after this match, right? So they have this match. Pure Fusion Collective comes out. They start messing with Dakota. After Liv Morgan ends up winning, she hits Oblivion, gets the pinfall victory. She scrams, well, kind of, and then afterwards, all 3 of the Pure Fusion Collective get in the ring and they're beating down Dakota. So we obviously see Io Sky and Kairi Sane come out. They save Dakota Kai. Kairi takes them all out with a diving crossbody. But then Liv Morgan hits Io with Oblivion. And the sell job by Io Sky on this Oblivion.
Oh, my God.
Incredible.
Oh, my God.
That might have been the best Oblivion I've ever seen. That's how good that looked. Incredible.
I still have it. I still have it in my mind. I still can picture it because that's how fucking good it was.
She got spiked, head, like top of the head. It looked
and the
so
flip
good.
She did, like she just spikes.
That's how you sell it. That's how you sell it.
It was absolutely.
I hope everyone else was watching on the monitor because that is how you sell that. Holy shit! What a sell by Io. Io is just beautiful. Not the last time we'll talk about her tonight. Today, I should say. But, I mean, tonight isn't Raw. All right, you guys know the drill. All right? You know. When I say we, tonight, you know. We then get a good video promo vignette from Drew McIntyre.
Oh, this was really good.
Very good. He talks about losing in the Hell in a Cell match and losing all the blood and the staples. And he said, hey, I could have came back to Raw after Bad Blood. I could have. But I had to go home because my family needed me. He goes, and when I was home, I thought long and hard on if I was wrong and if people can change. But then I turned Survivor Series on and I saw the original Bloodline standing together. He goes, and he says the stuff that I've been saying for a month. Drew. We're talking about a Drew. I'm talking to a Drew about a Drew. But he says the stuff that I've been saying for a month. All right, Sandy. Thanks for popping in, my friend.
See ya.
Thanks for popping in. He says, I turned on Survivor Series
dinner, and it's not even lunch here yet. Jesus.
I know, right? Well, yeah, I was going to say,
Time
what are I
difference.
think, yeah, what it is? It's like 6 hours difference, 6.5. It's like almost 5:36 where he is. Dinner time. That is dinner time galore right there. Let me tell you. So he says, oh, he goes, I turned on Survivor Series and I see Sami Zayn, I see Jimmy Uso, I see Jey Uso, and I see them all tuck their tails between their legs and just run back to Roman.
Oh man.
And I've been sitting here for a month screaming this shit.
He is speaking for all of us.
Yes, I've been sitting here for a month yelling about, is anybody going to hold this guy accountable? And it took one line from Drew McIntyre to say that. I go, thank you. Why? Nobody else is thinking this besides Drew McIntyre? He had to come back from Scotland to let everybody know that this is bullshit. But tremendous. And then, but you know what? You know what was another thing? We know the history with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, obviously. But Drew McIntyre in this vignette, he goes, at least CM Punk took a bribe. Like, at least CM Punk made a deal to do it. Like, I can respect that. Which, who would have thought that he would have been talking up CM Punk? But he says, at least CM Punk took a bribe and made a deal, which I can respect. He goes, but Sammy, Jay, Jimmy, what? You guys just tucked your tails between your legs and just ran back to Daddy Roman. He didn't say Daddy Roman, but you know what I mean. Just ran back to Roman.
Not inaccurate, though.
And he said, and that's why last week, and he admits to attacking Jay. And he said, and that's why I came back and I took out Sammy and I took out Jay. So we get the full admittal from Drew that he was the one that took out Jay. He's spitting facts here, Drew. He's spitting facts here. And that's
as a fellow Drew, I am elated by this promo because I'll tell you, I was thinking about you immediately. It's like, oh, this is exactly what JPJ has been saying since they all started joining up at Roman.
Yes. Is anybody going to say, hey, man, besides Kevin Owens, who's a bad guy? Now, that turned Kevin Owens heel, him speaking with logic. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
think about who said the right shit. KO has said the right things about Roman and everybody going to help him. And now Drew McIntyre is saying the right things about everybody going to help Roman. And they're arguably two of the biggest heels on each show.
I have this theory that you could do like an anti-bloodline, OG bloodline stable with Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins.
Maybe. I don't know. Speaking of Seth Rollins, though, this whole Drew McIntyre thing led into Seth Rollins coming down to the ring. Well, hold on. No, there's other stuff that happens first. Never mind. They showed Seth Rollins walking backstage in my notes, and then we saw Tiffany Stratton, we mentioned, off to the side talking to Adam Pearce. Yeah. We come back from commercial. We get a recap of the New Day's big heel turn on Big E last week. And then we see them walking down the corridor, and we see Adam Pearce's. You do really like McIntyre, Johnny? Drew McIntyre is fantastic. We see Cody leaving Adam Pearce's office, and as he's leaving, the New Day is approaching, and he just simply tells the New Day, he goes, we've known each other for a long, long time, guys. And he goes, and you both should be ashamed of yourselves. And he just leaves. And then we see the New Day kind of shocked that he said that. And Xavier Wood goes, yeah, we have known each other for a long time. He goes, funny coming from him the way he was in high school. Mr. Nice Guy in high school. So, all right. But I thought that was good.
I didn't even know that they knew each other like that.
Xavier Woods and him did, because I think they're both I think they both wrestled each other in high school. Like they were athletes at the same.
Yeah,
same,
no idea.
Yeah. So then Seth Rollins makes his entrance, and we're getting an in-ring promo with Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins had some good things to say here too. So Seth starts talking. He says that CM Punk, he goes, when CM Punk's days in the ring are over, he certainly will have a pretty decent career as a politician. He goes, because that interview was a master class at spinning the truth and playing the victim. He goes, Punk's been doing that his whole life. He's a fraud. He's a con man. And he goes, and if you want the truth about CM Punk, he'll tell you. He said he is right. I did go to CM Punk and ask him to train me. He goes, I respected Punk, and we were friends. He goes, but the part that CM Punk always leaves out and will tell you is why that changed. He said, because when CM Punk walked out the door 11 years ago, I called and I texted CM Punk because he was a friend of mine and I respected him. And he goes, and what did I get back? Nothing. And he goes, and I wasn't the only one that got nothing back. Everybody here all got nothing back. And he goes, and then what did Punk do? For the next 10 years, all he did was try to take this company down. Any pot shot he could, anything that he could do to tear WWE down, he did, only to walk back in here because he failed at everything else he ever tried and burned every other bridge he's ever had. And he goes, oh, and the money was right. That's what he said as well. Facts. Seth ain't lying. Seth ain't lying. And then Seth says, but eventually I realized that I'm better than Punk. And I'm better than everything he's done. I've done twice. And he goes, plus I've done the one thing that he's never been able to do. Main event WrestleMania. Because we all know that that's the main thing that Punk is missing. And that he's very vocal about, that he wants to main event WrestleMania. So I thought Rollins mentioned that. I was like, okay. But then we don't have CM Punk come out and interrupt him, Drew. We have Sami Zayn come out. And Seth stops him almost immediately, goes, look, if you're out here to defend CM Punk again, like, we're not fighting again. I don't have time for it. And Sami says, look, at last week, we both got angry. We said some things. We fought in the main event. That's bound to happen when you've been friends for so long. So I just want to say I'm sorry. And Sami apologizes to Seth. Sami admits he's wrong and that he assumes Seth dropped Jey Uso backstage, and he apologizes. And then Rollins goes, hey, man. He goes, the thing that bothers me the most about this is, he goes, given how close we are, like, our kids play together. He's like, our kids play together. We've known each other for 20 years, man. He goes, when you found out that Jay got attacked, I was the first person that went through your head. He goes, that bothers me, man. After how long we've known each other, how could I be the first person that you thought of, dude? And I thought that was really good. I thought that was really good by Seth. And then Sami says, I wasn't thinking right. He goes, I sounded like the guy who points fingers and, like, doesn't have moral clarity. I sounded like Drew McIntyre last week. That's what Sami said. And then Seth goes, yeah, I'm not Drew McIntyre. And Sami goes, you're not. You're better than him, blah, blah, blah. They start talking. He brings up CM Punk and all those things. And Sami goes, maybe I shouldn't have gotten involved last week. So I'm out here to say that this thing is clearly worse than I imagined. And it's not my business. So whatever. Rollins thanks him. Sami then asks Seth, like, are we good? Are we good? And Seth goes, he thinks about it. And Seth goes, yeah, we're good. We're good. And then Seth says, all right, I got to go handle my stuff with Punk. You do your thing. And Seth leaves. Now, this was a little bit different from WWE because it started with, we saw a couple different things. And again, they're kind of, this started as a Seth Rollins promo, and then it turned into another promo in the same segment from a completely different guy.
More lately.
Yeah. So I like how they've been doing this, like, kind of one thing into the other. So then Sami's in the ring by himself. He says he's not going to sit here and listen to McIntyre week after week. So he goes, I'm going to end this as quickly as it started. I've already gone to Adam Pearce, and this Saturday night at Saturday night's main event, it's going to be me and Drew McIntyre. So we get our fifth and final match, we assume. Maybe they'll add another one on SmackDown, but I doubt it. I feel like 5 will be kind of what they do. So we find out that it's going to be Sami and Drew at Saturday night's main event. So then Sami is going to leave. And as he kind of gets to the stage area, Drew McIntyre comes out of nowhere. They start brawling. lays them out. Road agents and referees break it up, and then we go to commercial. So that's how that segment went across. And we have another match for Saturday night's main event that we'll talk about before we get out of here in a little bit, Drew, with Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. What do you think of this segment with Sami and Seth and kind of how they intertwined and then the Drew thing at the end?
It's looking really, really awesome for this whole, I think, Raw and Netflix debut, because I don't know if all of these people still end up being on Raw, because, you know, the transfer window thing. But 5 and
like, I think it's going to be 5 matches and a handful of promos on Saturday.
Oh.
Because I was like, oh, maybe they'll add another match on SmackDown, maybe to make it 6, but I think they'll roll with 5. But there'll be promos and backstage
That's
stuff.
their thing now. It's like five matches.
Yeah.
There's, I don't know, while you were talking, I had this there's a vision of like I said earlier, the 3, like the anti-Roman Reigns, anti-OG Bloodline stable with Drew, KO, and Seth, which is 3 guys against 4. But then I was thinking, oh, what if I don't know if there's like some meta thing going on here where like Punk ends up being the guy who attacked Jey Uso, and then it's the 4-on-4 is Punk, Drew, KO, and Seth versus OG Bloodline.
I don't think Punk and Seth are going to team up under any
I don't know,
circumstances.
but I mean, like, if
I think Punk is going to, I think they're turning Seth heel, because I think CM Punk's going to.
I absolutely.
I think CM Punk's going to be the good guy in this feud going into Mania. I think Seth will be the bad guy. He'll be the heel, Seth. That's what I think.
This whole thing was very good. And, I'm loving the best thing about heels is that they tell the truth. Like, it's just a blatant truth, and that's what we know. We know, like what Drew was saying in the promo.
Yep.
Like, CM Punk got something out of teaming with Roman. The rest just
did it. Just did it to do it. Yep. For no reason.
Went behind their master, essentially. Yep. And like, okay, we're going to, which, you know, he snaps his fingers and they just line up.
Yep.
So there's got to be something more to that is being mentioned, you know?
It's possible. It's possible. Well, I think I did see a report yesterday that it's expected that the OG Bloodline will be on Raw once the new year happens. So maybe they're kind of floating these lines out there because they're eventually going to be over on Raw.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because you figure the Bloodline is discussed. Now, KO is obviously on SmackDown with Cody, but the Bloodline is the centerpiece of the Rollins, the Punk, now Drew, and all these things that are happening on Raw. They're all because, you know, remember how big of a storyline it was when Jey Uso just showed up on Raw? How everyone shit on Cody for bringing him over. And now a couple years later, everyone's shitting on everybody for going to team with them. And so this is like an overarching thing on the show. Like, and now all of a sudden, if Roman and crew are on the show,
it can't just be that they're doing a very similar storyline with anybody that has gone to help Roman. Seth is upset. Drew is upset. Kevin Owens is upset. Like, there's got to be a reason why the 3 of them are acting very similar right now.
100%. Johnny, they've already said, I mean, we're starting to, there's more blood anyway nowadays. That we're kind of back, not on regular TV, but on the pay-per-view, the brutal matches, there's more color more regularly, I would say right now in WWE anyway. But yes, Triple H and other people have come out and said that once they go to Netflix, even though I believe yesterday they said it's still going to be PG. I did see a report that said they're still going to try to keep it PG on Netflix. But there have been comments saying that they will be a little bit more mature with some of the stuff, which you would assume.
We need to.
Yeah.
Almost 12.
Yeah. We then had a triple threat match. Ivy Nile, Lyra Valkyria, Selena Vega. Lyra Valkyria won, so she's in the second round. And then we had the New Day stuff. So the New Day are being interviewed backstage.
This was so brilliant what
It
they
was
did.
great.
I loved this
It
so
was great.
much.
Jackie Redmond. No, I'm sorry. It was Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly asks why they did what they did and turned their back on Big E. And Kofi Kingston immediately scoffs at the phrasing of the question. He goes, "Why would you ask it that way?" And Kofi's pissed. Xavier Woods goes, "This is clearly not going to be an unbiased interview." He goes, "So we're going to go talk to the people out there and we're going to just say what we want to say." And Woods looks at the cameraman and he goes, "Give me that camera." And he goes, "I don't care if you're John Cena's best pal or whatever. Give me the camera." And Xavier Woods grabs the camera and they walk through the back, through Gorilla, and do that Fallout entrance. But it's Xavier Woods holding the camera behind Kofi as they walk to the ring. And then they walk to the ring. They're getting booed tremendously. They both get in the ring. Woods obviously loses the camera. And they get the Dominic Mysterio heat. Every time that either of them tried to talk, the boos got louder and louder. This was the only time that the crowd showed up on this whole show. This was really the only time that they truly showed up. And they just got louder and louder and louder to the point where, New Day was talking. They were saying, "I can't believe this is how you're treating us after 10 years of positivity." They said that they didn't even do anything to Big E. They said they could have taken a chair to his back. They could have taken a sledgehammer to his back. But the boos just keep on getting louder and louder and louder to the point where the New Day, they just leave. They just leave the ring. And once they leave the ring, the crowd starts cheering and they're going up the ramp. And Woods is saying, "We didn't even do anything. We didn't even do anything." And that's how the segment ended. And then we get our main event match. It was Raquel Rodriguez versus Rhea Ripley in an anything goes match. Good little match. It was quick, but this was a good little brutal match they had. They started brawling. They went through the crowd. The match ended. Io Sky comes out, evening up the sides because Liv got involved. So Io comes out. She takes out Liv. And then Rhea ended up putting Raquel Rodriguez through a table with the Riptide to get a big pinfall victory. And then the show ends with a beautiful, beautiful shot with both Rhea and Io Sky lifting up the title that was left in the ring when Liv was taken out and standing across from each other, each holding the belt, looking at each other, kind of foreshadowing a Rhea Ripley, Io Sky program. Please, yes. Yes, please. That was good. It was a good little ending to Raw. I thought the main event, these two had a banger of a match in NXT back in the day. No holds barred match in NXT. So these two can go. They're good opponents for each other. I thought this was a pretty good match for how quick and how, kind of decisive it was. I thought this was really good between the two of them. They really beat the crap out of each other for a little bit. I thought that was very good. And they kind of kept up the stuff with EO and stuff like that. So then we have Saturday night's main event real quick. We'll run through the card. 5-match card this Saturday on NBC. I think they are easily setting this up to be a big one. We have 5 matches. 4 of the matches are championship matches. We have, as was just announced, Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre and a one-on-one match. We have the crowning of the first ever Women's United States champion. It will either be Bayley and Chelsea Green on one side versus Meet Chin or Tiffany Stratton on the other. We will find out who those people are on Friday, and then Saturday will be the final. We now have Io Sky going against Liv Morgan for the WWE Women's Championship. We have now a triple threat match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther going against Finn Balor and Damian Priest. And then what we assume will be the main event, it'll be Kevin Owens. It'll be Cody Rhodes for the WWE Universal. Is it? They still call it the WWE? It's not. It's just WWE Championship now, right? They don't call it Undisputed. Yes. For the WWE Undisputed Championship.
Which I've seen people have problems with calling it the Undisputed Championship when Gunther is there. Also as a world champion,
That's
so
fair.
to speak, in the company.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing is that he's just the undisputed champion, like Roman was.
Exactly.
They were the undisputed champions of the Universal and WWE champions.
100%. I fully agree.
Because there is no other WWE champion or Universal champion. It's
Hmm.
just undisputed, and it was originally undisputed Universal champion.
Hmm.
But I think they changed that once the World Heavyweight Championship came back to just undisputed champion. So you can't say that you're an undisputed, Universal if there's
Yeah.
a world champion out there. So uh, I think it makes sense, and I have no issues with being called Cody or anybody who wins the title being called the undisputed champion
100%.
because that belt represents the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship.
I fully agree. I fully agree. So again, quickly, because it's past our time because of all the late starts and stuff like that. But quickly through this 5-match card, are you expecting? I know we touched on how we feel about KO. Are you expecting any surprise? Obviously, we know we're at least getting one new champion crowned with the United States Women's Champion. We know for a fact one new champion will be crowned on Saturday. Are
Yeah,
you expecting any other surprises on Saturday? Just give me like a quick rundown of who you think's going to win.
I think I want Kevin Owens to
Oh,
win, but I
I
don't
think
think
they should do it. I think
he's
they
not.
should
I
do
don't
it.
think he's going to
I
though.
don't think
But
he
I
is
I
either, but I think
want.
they should.
I know. I agree. Definitely should.
Mm,
But I just don't know if it's going to happen. I think it's
hmm.
going to continue that heel run of his, that he
Yeah.
just doesn't win and he gets really angry. Um, and I think also that he's not going to win because the other championships that are being defended, I have this like sneaking
Oh, I
suspicion.
think you're going to say where I'm going to go.
I think maybe Finn Balor is going to
Oh,
win.
all right. I was leaning towards, I think Io Sky could pull one off. I think Io Sky could pull one off.
Uh,
I don't think so, but I think
Again,
Io
who is
Sky
she facing?
live.
No, that's not going to happen.
I don't think so, but there's something to me, especially with this is the first one on NBC in a while. They're doing one next month. We're going to be doing 4 a year. I kind of think this is the perfect time to get the belt off Cody. Right before the Rumble, there's talk that he might move over to Raw as well. I mean,
I don't know, maybe, but I don't. I actually feel like Gunther is not going to retain, and I
it's
had
fair.
a thought that maybe, uh, it would be nice to see Finn win.
Mm,
Also, because if Cody ends up on Raw,
hmm.
maybe Gunther goes to SmackDown.
I think we are getting a switch of the champs. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that Netflix has told WWE as politely as they can that they expect Cody to be on their show.
And I don't think that Cody, Roman, and Gunther can all be on the same show.
No, I mean now that I'm hearing that now that we're hearing that Roman and the OG Bloodline are potentially going to Raw, Cody needs to be on the other show than Roman. They cannot be on the same show. I do not want them on the same show. I think that just defeats everything, and we're never going to get past the Cody Roman stuff if they're on the same show.
Thank you, Johnny. Take care.
Yeah. Yo, that is a great compliment, Johnny. Appreciate you a lot, my friend. Thank you. We'll see you on Thursday morning, man. Um, yeah, so I mean, I think I think one of those titles are changing hands. One of those 3 title matches, I think a title's changing hands. I'm not sure which one it'll be. But I
Yeah, I
think
don't
to
know.
do something big on that Sunday on regular TV, NBC, where you think you're going to have more eyeballs on you than normal, I think having a big title change and like kind of letting people know, like, yo, shit, anything can happen here. You should be watching our shows every week, especially when we go on Netflix in a couple weeks and blah, blah, blah. I think a major title change would go a long way. Would go a long way.
Yeah. So the thing that I was going to mention earlier that I was holding was that I feel like Dominic Mysterio does play a big role here,
Mm,
and I think that would be interesting in my head. It'd be interesting to have him play a role in helping Finn win
Mm,
at Saturday Night's main event, but then accidentally costing Finn on Monday.
against Damien. Oh, you mean the
Yeah,
tag titles?
the tag title, yeah, in some way that, because they're going to try and pull something over Adam Pearce, and
Mm,
whether it's like a hooded thing or something, maybe what happens is, because it's going to like play into the, oh, you were great for one day when he was Universal Champion, like what Gunther said.
mm,
So he's only going to be a double champion for one full day, like he was Universal Champion for one day.
yeah.
And then he's going to lose one title, and that's going to make him really pissed off. So I feel like him with the World Heavyweight Championship and Liv with the women's version, I feel like that needs to be a thing
Mm,
to start more of that Dominic and Finn dissension. Because there's been, like we've been talking, there's been, that whole thing about is something going on with Liv and Finn
mm,
because of the room key card and the things of like there's things going on behind the scenes that Dominic is not even aware of.
yep.
And definitely 100% by this time 2025, Dominic is going to be a babyface.
Oh, 100%.
And it's
100%.
going to be a pretty damn good one, I think,
Oh,
which I
yeah.
can't believe I'm even saying
Oh, yeah.
because
Dom's going to be massively over. Massively over.
um, I think New Day are taking the heat, the vitriol, the anger that Dominic Mysterio had when he first turned heel on Rhea,
Hmm.
and now Dominic can absolutely become a really hot babyface
Yeah. I
from
think
this
it's
whole
right.
story.
I think it's right there for him to do so. And I
And
think,
the perfect thing for it to happen is for him to get kicked out the way that Rhea got kicked out.
yeah.
So Finn and Liv conspire against Dominic,
Well, yeah, I think that's what, yeah, I think Dom is
both
a
as the
pawn.
world heavyweight
Yeah.
champions.
Yeah. I think Dom has been a pawn this whole time. This whole time, Dom has been a pawn. And now we're starting to see how Finn Balor actually feels about Dom,
Yeah.
like this last month or so. Uh, and it makes me, I just, this whole time, and I know we got to get out of here. This whole time, I've always felt like the world title needs to be involved with Finn and Priest. I feel like the world title needs to be involved.
Yes.
And obviously, with Gunther as the world champion, you would assume that he's not going to be leaving quite often. I mean, losing quite often, and it would be a long title reign. But at that time, I kind of feel like Finn will be champion sooner than later. I don't think it'll happen on Saturday, maybe, but I do think he's getting that belt sometime here because I do feel like Finn and Priest is not over. They've only had one match. Finn and Priest is not over, but I feel like eventually they will be fighting for the world title. And because this whole time that Finn has been unhappy, what's been his main cause of concern? Why is Damian Priest fighting for the world championship again?
Right. And now he's been added to this
Correct.
match.
To take that
So
away
this
from
will
Finn.
this will continue while Gunther maybe goes to SmackDown.
Yes. So I feel like this will be a world title program between Finn and Priest at some point here. I just don't know. We'll have to see how they let it get there. Quickly before we leave, I do want to put over Hoosier's comment. This is his long shot. He says Finn beats Gunther and Priest, wins the title, which leads to Finn ditching the Judgment Day for good and sets up Finn versus Dom versus Priest for the title after all the crap Finn has talked to Dom. Possibly.
Hmm.
I
That
do
is
think
possible.
like I agree with Dom kind of messing up and screwing Finn, which leads to the demise, but I happen to think he's going to do it and he'll help. It means more if he does it to help Priest win, doesn't it? You know? Like what if Dom goes out
Right,
there to
yeah.
try to help
Like
Finn
what I
win?
said. Yeah.
Yeah, like he goes out there to try to help Finn win, but Priest ends up winning. And Priest
Hmm.
is the champion again. And now Finn is not only pissed that Priest is the world champion, but he's pissed because Dom helped it happen. and then it turns into nonsense. You know what I mean? I think you can go with it either way. I think there's a way to do it where you could do it either way. You could do it that Gunther ends up retaining because Dom accidentally screws Finn. You could do it that maybe Dom helps Finn win the title on Saturday and then something else happens, kind of like what you were talking about. Or you could do it that Dom is trying to help Finn but screws up, and that leads Priest to winning the belt, which will piss Finn off even more because it's Priest that is now the champ again. I think there's ways you can do it.
Yeah,
I think
and
there's ways
that's an
you
awesome
can go.
thing. That
Yes.
there's all these scenarios that play out that are all good scenarios.
Yes.
And it leads to more things happening as a result.
Yeah. And Scott saying that he thinks Dom screws Finn. I think most of us I think we're all in agreement here that at some point Dom is going to be a reason why Finn, I think on Saturday, Dom's going to be the reason why Finn doesn't win. Whether it's on purpose or not, I don't think it will be on purpose, but
Well, the thing about me saying like Finn should win the World Heavyweight Championship is because like there's only so many times that you can go back to the similar story with somebody who hasn't had a singles title in a long time.
yeah.
Like they're doing it with both Finn and Kevin Owens right now at the same time, and they're both having title matches on the same show.
Yeah.
So, like, and also the whole dynamic that what we have been surmising based off of what we've seen with Finn and Liv, for both of them to be world heavyweight champions for the men's and the women's side together in the group, with Finn now revealing more how he's been feeling about Dominic this whole time. But again, it could just be that Dominic is trying to help Finn, but then Damian ends up winning.
Yep.
So there's just so many scenarios out there that are exciting, and I can't wait for Saturday.
Oh, Saturday is going to be great. It's going to be a good one. But before Saturday, Drew and I will be back here 10 a.m. on Thursday for Firmly AEW, where we'll be talking about Dynamite and basically the week that was in everything that involves AEW. And that's going to be it for us today. Sorry about the wonky start with the audio, and that was just technology at its finest.
Yeah, I don't know what
technology
at
its finest
side,
this morning.
Everything was fine until you went live.
It made no sense. It's almost like you got booted out, like you kind of left. And it was like once you left, because we were chatting with each other, and then once you left to reboot your shit, all of a sudden, even though I could hear me, I could hear everything that I normally hear. I could hear the intro. I could hear. It's not like I had, it was just weird. But sorry for the wonky start, but we got through it. We figured it out. We were still here, but we got to get out of here. It's a little bit past our time. Drew, very quickly, let the people know where they can follow you before I do my thing, and we'll get on out of here.
Usually it's right here.
Yeah, I was going to say he's on his phone, today. So it's not. Yes. Yeah.
It's at the Drew Nicholas on Twitter, Drew Nicholas on Blue Sky. I collect super chats and humper chats for Fightful's AEW Collision Post Show on Saturday nights with Rick Cresta and Iridian, and Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast, where you see Sinner, who's been in our chats lately and is a thorn in my side. I do that with him and a bunch of other fine folks. And all the links are in the bio for all that stuff. So go and do that and follow Firmly LW on Twitter as well.
Heck yeah. All right. You can follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms, including Twitch and YouTube. You can find me here with this fella every Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. WWE on Tuesdays, AEW on Thursdays. And you all know where you can also find me Thursday nights, 8 p.m. right here on this very channel. Me and my main squeeze Pluggo, the flagship here at Love Wrestling, between two beards. We have a big one this Thursday. We have Stephanie Hypes joining us on Thursday. We're going to talk a little Saturday night's main event and a few other things as well. Very excited to have her on the show. On my own channel tonight, 8 p.m., our friend Ophelia Peggy, who you see in all our Love Wrestling chats, she will be joining me as we're going to be watching along to NXT tonight. Other than that, follow both of us. Follow everybody at Love Wrestling. Follow Love Wrestling. All of us are on Blue Sky now as well. So search us out. Find us. We do a lot of cool shit weekly here, every week here on Love Wrestling. So, but that's going to be it for me and Drew. Hopefully Thursday will be more smooth. and
Hopefully.
back to normal here for us. But until then, everyone have yourselves a lovely rest of your Tuesday. And for Drew and myself, y'all know the drill. Peace out.